The galaxy had always been vast, silent, and full of secrets. Stars burned bright across endless stretches of black space, while countless planets rotated silently in their orbits. Most civilizations in this sector of the galaxy lived under the shadow of the Galactic Empire, a massive coalition of alien races and advanced technology. Their fleets patrolled the stars relentlessly, enforcing rules that few dared to question. They were proud, disciplined, and believed that no single starship could ever challenge their power. Yet, in this immense galaxy, one lone human vessel quietly approached the Empire's frontier. It was called the Intrepid, and it moved with a purposeful grace. Unlike the Empire's massive warships, the Intrepid was small, sleek, and seemingly fragile. Its hull was scratched and worn from decades of travel, but every scar told a story of survival and triumph. On board, a crew of humans worked tirelessly, their hands flying over consoles and control panels, adjusting coordinates, monitoring sensors, and preparing for a mission that could change the course of history. Captain Elias Vance, a tall man with sharp eyes and a calm demeanor, stood at the bridge's front, staring at the holographic display of the sector. His crew respected him not because of his rank, but because he had earned it through countless trials in space. "Report," he said, his voice steady. Lieutenant Mira Kellen, the youngest officer aboard, checked the readings. "The Empire's patrol fleet is active, Captain. They are scanning the outer systems, but they haven't detected us yet. They are moving in a tight formation, assuming there is nothing unusual in this sector." Elias nodded. "Good. Let them think we are just another small cargo vessel. We will need every advantage when we face them." The crew exchanged determined glances. They all knew the stakes. Humanity had never sought to dominate the galaxy, but it had always survived. And survival sometimes required courage the size of a star. The Empire's fleet, by contrast, was enormous and intimidating. Massive capital ships glided silently through space, their armor glinting with metallic perfection. Each warship was equipped with weapons capable of destroying entire planets, and their automated systems were precise and unforgiving. Alien officers moved with rigid efficiency, trusting algorithms and calculations over intuition and instinct. In their eyes, no single human vessel could ever hope to challenge such overwhelming force. The Intrepid passed through the outer edges of the Empire's sensor grid, undetected. Elias leaned over the navigation console, studying the fleet's pattern. "Notice how they rely on automated coordination," he said. "They trust their machines more than their own eyes. That's our advantage. Machines predict patterns. Humans can create them. Unpredictability is our weapon." Mira smiled faintly. "So we're going to confuse them, make them think we are everywhere at once?" "Exactly," Elias replied. "But we must stay focused. One mistake and it could be the end of us." As the Intrepid advanced, it passed clusters of asteroids, their jagged surfaces casting shadows across the ship's hull. The crew used these natural formations as cover, hiding from the Empire's sensors while observing the fleet's movements. Every detail mattered: the timing of patrol routes, the angles of scanners, the blind spots in communications. In the quiet moments, when the hum of the engines filled the bridge, the humans reflected on the odds. They were outnumbered by thousands to one. Every warship in the Empire's fleet was larger, faster, and more heavily armed than the Intrepid. Yet the humans were not afraid. Fear was something the Empire could calculate and predict. Courage was something it could never fully understand. "Captain," said Ensign Taro, a skilled engineer, "our systems are performing optimally. Weapons, shields, engines, all green. The ship has never felt this ready before." Elias nodded, resting a hand on the railing. "Good. Remember, it is not the size of the ship, but the courage and cleverness of the crew. We are more than just metal and circuits. We are human, and humans have a way of surviving, even when everything seems impossible." The Intrepid continued its silent approach until the first outpost of the Empire came into view. It was a fortified station orbiting a barren planet, its turrets rotating lazily, scanning for any approaching threat. The humans on board studied it carefully. Though it seemed imposing, it was lightly defended compared to the Empire's main fleet. "This would be the first test. Lieutenant Kellen," Elias said, "plot a course that takes us behind the station. We will observe and decide our next move. No reckless attacks. We need information first." Mira's fingers danced over the controls, plotting a silent approach. "Course plotted, Captain. We'll remain undetected." As the Intrepid glided closer, the crew prepared their sensors and communications equipment. They recorded the Empire's patrol patterns, noting how automated drones and turrets moved, where the blind spots were, and how the station communicated with the fleet. Every detail was a potential advantage. Hours passed in tense silence. The crew worked without complaint, knowing that patience was as valuable as courage. Finally, Elias made his decision. We strike at dawn, quiet, precise, and fast. We disable their systems without alerting the main fleet. Let them think they are safe, and then we remind them why humans are not to be underestimated. The crew prepared for action. Engineers calibrated energy pulses to jam communication signals. Weapons officers adjusted targeting systems for precision strikes. Even the smallest drone on the ship was equipped to play a part in the operation. When the time came, the Intrepid moved like a shadow. Using the asteroid field as cover, it slipped behind the station. Mira controlled the ship with skillful precision, threading through tight spaces while avoiding detection. The humans worked as one, every movement synchronized. The first strike disabled the station's communication array, followed by a controlled energy pulse that shut down its defensive turrets. Within minutes, the outpost was rendered useless, a silent victory for a lone human vessel against the Empire's technology. Back on the bridge, Elias allowed himself a small smile. Well done. That is exactly how we begin, not with brute force but with intelligence, patience, and daring. Let the Empire see that humans do not follow rules, they create them. Mira glanced at the view screen showing the now darkened station. They won't know what hit them, she said. Elias nodded. No, they won't, and that is exactly what we need. Fear is a tool. Respect is earned through action. One day they will remember the name Intrepid, and they will remember it with caution. The Intrepid retreated into the shadows of the asteroid field, leaving the Empire's outpost powerless and its patrols unaware of the audacity that had struck them. Humanity's presence, though small, was a spark in the vast darkness of the galaxy, a reminder that courage and cleverness could challenge even the greatest powers. As the ship moved deeper into uncharted space, the crew felt a growing sense of purpose. They were no longer just explorers or travelers. They were vanguards, symbols of human resilience and ingenuity. And though the battles ahead would be dangerous, they knew one truth: the galaxy had underestimated humans, and that underestimation would be their greatest advantage. Captain Elias Vance gazed out at the stars, his mind already planning the next move. The Empire believes they control the galaxy, he murmured, but they have never faced humans at their best. And it begins here. The Intrepid continued its silent journey, the lone human vessel carrying not just weapons and engines, but the unyielding spirit of humanity itself. Somewhere among the stars, the first ripple of resistance began, and it came not from a fleet, but from one small ship with a brave crew and hearts full of courage. The galaxy was about to learn that humans were not to be underestimated. The Intrepid drifted silently through the shadows of the asteroid field, its hull gleaming faintly under the distant starlight. The human crew was tense but focused. Their victory against the outpost had been precise, swift, and unseen, yet they knew the Empire would soon respond. The galaxy's largest and most disciplined fleet could not ignore even the smallest disturbance for long. Captain Elias Vance stood at the bridge, watching the holographic map of the sector. Red symbols flickered faintly on the display, marking the positions of the Empire's main patrols. These massive warships moved in perfect formations, their paths calculated and synchronized. To the human mind, this order might seem invincible, but Elias knew differently. Humans were unpredictable, machines were not. Lieutenant Kellen, he said, we've drawn their attention with the outpost strike. Their next move will be careful but predictable. They will not expect us to be bold again so soon. Mira nodded. So we act before they fully understand us? Exactly. Strike fast, confuse them, and vanish before they know what happened. Elias's eyes gleamed with determination. They see us as one small ship. That is their mistake. We can be 10, 20, 50 ships in their minds with the right tricks. The crew prepared for their next attack. Engineers checked energy pulses and shield strength, ensuring that the ship could survive sudden volleys from the Empire's larger vessels. Weapons officers calibrated their lasers and plasma cannons, designed to hit key systems with pinpoint accuracy. Even the smallest sensor drone was primed to gather intelligence. To reveal blind spots in the fleet, Ensign Taro, the ship's lead engineer, approached Elias. "Captain, our stealth systems are fully operational. We can enter the patrol's formation without being detected if we move carefully, but the risk is high." Elias rested a hand on Taro's shoulder. "All progress has risk, Taro. Remember that fear is natural. Let it sharpen your senses, not freeze them. We are humans. Fear does not stop us, it guides us." Hours passed as the Intrepid approached the sector's heart. Sensors showed the Empire's fleet moving in 3 massive waves. Each warship bristled with weapons, shields, and sensors, their alien crews confident in their calculations. They saw patterns, probabilities, and risks. What they did not see was human ingenuity, imagination, and daring. "Captain," said Mira, "we can target the fleet's supply convoy. It's lightly protected but essential. Hitting it would force their attention away from us and slow their response." Elias considered this, a risky move, but humans thrive on risk. "Prepare the weapons and drones. We strike in 10 minutes. Quietly, carefully, and without leaving a trace." The crew went to work. Small drones slipped into the shadows of asteroids carrying energy disruptors. They moved silently, approaching the supply ships with incredible precision. At the same time, the Intrepid moved closer to the formation, blending into sensor noise and debris. Then, in perfect coordination, the humans struck. Energy pulses disabled the convoy's engines, leaving the supply ships drifting helplessly. Shields flickered and died, and the humans' lasers targeted the communication arrays, cutting the fleet's coordination in half. The Empire's officers were stunned. "A single vessel?" One of them exclaimed in disbelief. How could one ship disrupt an entire convoy? But Elias and his crew did not wait for confusion to settle. Using the drones as decoys, they created illusions of multiple attacks from different directions. The fleet scrambled, firing at phantoms in empty space. The humans used the chaos to slip past the bulk of the fleet, striking at weak points and retreating before retaliation could arrive. Inside the Intrepid, the crew worked as one. Every action was precise, every calculation carefully executed. Lieutenant Kellen directed the ship through tight spaces in the asteroid field, avoiding detection. Taro monitored the drones, sending them into new positions to draw enemy fire. Weapons officers fired only when necessary, striking with perfect timing to disable, not destroy. After the first assault, the fleet was in disarray. Ships moved in confusion, unsure where the real threat lay. Communications were jammed and sensors were unreliable. For the humans, this was the perfect moment. Elias turned to his crew. "This is humanity's advantage. When others rely on perfect calculations, we rely on creativity. When others see threats as numbers, we see opportunity. They are disciplined, yes, but predictable. That is what we exploit." The humans launched a second attack, this time against one of the Empire's small warships. Instead of destroying it, they disabled key systems, leaving it stranded in space. The aliens could not understand how a single vessel had managed to outmaneuver them so completely. Their algorithms had failed, their formations broken, and their confidence shaken. Meanwhile, the Intrepid remained nearly invisible, a shadow among the asteroids. The humans' clever use of natural cover, timing, and misdirection made it impossible for the Empire to predict their next move. Even as backup fleets were called in, the humans had already slipped away, leaving chaos behind. During a brief moment of calm, Mira spoke quietly. "Captain, the fleet still doesn't know what they're facing. They think we're a small ship, but our actions make them see us as a larger force." Elias smiled faintly. "Exactly. Fear grows in imagination. We may be alone, but they will believe they are under siege from many. That is how humans survive against giants. We make them doubt what they know, and we act where they cannot anticipate." The Intrepid continued its maneuvers, now moving deeper into the sector. The humans observed other outposts, studying patrol patterns and scanning for weaknesses. Every system, every calculation, every move of the Empire's fleet was recorded and analyzed. Knowledge was as valuable a weapon as any laser or plasma cannon. Hours later, the humans faced a critical decision. The fleet was regrouping, moving closer to locate the mysterious vessel. A frontal assault would be dangerous, but a strategic strike on their command ship could force the Empire to retreat. "Captain," said Taro, "we can disable the flagship's communication systems with a small, targeted strike. It would confuse their command and slow reinforcements, but it will be risky. Elias nodded. Risk is our ally if we use it wisely. Prepare the drones and weapons. We strike at their heart, then disappear before they can respond. Remember, precision, timing, and creativity. These are our true weapons. The humans executed their plan with skill and daring. Small drones navigated through asteroid shadows carrying energy disruptors. The Intrepid approached the flagship from an angle it could not predict, evading its sensors. For the Empire, the strike seemed impossible. A lone vessel, small and seemingly fragile, challenging the core of their power. With perfect timing, the humans disabled the flagship's communications, leaving it isolated. The rest of the fleet faltered, unsure of orders, unsure of threat locations. Chaos spread quickly among the aliens, and the humans seized the moment to retreat, leaving the flagship disabled and the fleet scattered. On the bridge of the Intrepid, the crew celebrated quietly. Not with noise or triumph, but with the satisfaction of skill, courage, and intelligence. They had struck fear into the heart of the galaxy's most powerful fleet and lived to tell the tale. "Captain," Mira said softly. "We did it. We really did it." Elias placed a hand on her shoulder. "Yes, but this is only the beginning. Humanity has never been the strongest in numbers, but we have always been the cleverest, and cleverness is what turns the tide." The humans knew their victory was more than just tactical. It was symbolic. Across the galaxy, the Empire's grip seemed unshakable, but a single human vessel had shown that courage, intelligence, and daring could disrupt even the most advanced fleet. As the Intrepid moved toward the shadows of another asteroid belt, Elias addressed the crew. "We must continue. Every system we observe, every fleet we disrupt, every move we make builds a story. The galaxy will remember humans, not just as survivors, but as champions capable of standing against impossible odds." The human crew nodded, determination shining in their eyes. They had faced the first real test against the Empire's might, and they had succeeded. The legend of the Intrepid was just beginning, and the galaxy would soon learn that humans were not to be underestimated. Amid the silent expanse of stars, the lone vessel moved onward carrying hope, courage, and the unyielding spirit of humanity into the heart of danger. The Intrepid drifted deeper into the sector, its engines humming quietly as it navigated the gaps between asteroids. The humans on board were alert, every eye on the view screen and every hand ready at the controls. They had struck the Empire's convoy and disabled the flagship, sending shockwaves through the fleet. But they knew the real challenge was yet to come. The Empire would not ignore such audacity. Reinforcements were already moving toward the sector, vast fleets bristling with weapons and automated drones. Every ship was larger, faster, and more heavily armed than the Intrepid. Yet the humans remained calm. Courage and ingenuity had carried them this far. Now, they would have to push those traits to their limits. Captain Elias Vance stood at the bridge, staring at the holographic map. Red symbols moved across the display, indicating the approach of multiple Imperial fleets. "They are coming," he said quietly. "And they are angry." Lieutenant Mira Kellen's fingers flew over the console, tracking the enemy movements. "We are outnumbered hundreds to one, Captain. Their formations are perfect but rigid. We can exploit that." Elias nodded. "Rigid thinking is their weakness. They rely on patterns, on predictability. Humans do not. We will move where they do not expect, strike where they are weakest, and survive where others would fail." Ensign Taro approached, holding a small data pad. "Captain, we've identified a gap in their formation. Their capital ships move in a straight line with drones covering their flanks. If we approach from above the line, we can evade most of their sensors and target weak points in their hulls." Elias considered the plan. "It is risky," he said, "but calculated risk is how humans win battles. Prepare the ship and drones. We move at first light." Hours later, the Intrepid approached the massive fleet. The human crew felt the weight of the moment, but there was no fear, only focus. Every engineer, pilot, and officer knew their role and executed it perfectly. The Empire's fleet loomed large on the sensors, each warship a towering structure of metal and energy. Automated turrets rotated in unison, scanning for threats. Drones flitted between ships, relaying information to the central command. Their coordination was flawless until the humans disrupted it. Elias gave the command. "Initiate Phase 1. Move fast, strike precise, and vanish before they know what hit them." Mira maneuvered the Intrepid through the asteroid field, weaving between massive rocks that blocked enemy sensors. Drones were launched carrying energy disruptors and decoy signals. From the Empire's perspective, attacks appeared to come from multiple ships in different directions. The humans struck in perfect synchronization. Lasers targeted engines and communication hubs, disabling key systems without destroying the ships. Drones created false signals, leading the Empire's automated defenses to fire at empty space. Within minutes, the humans had caused confusion across the fleet. Inside the Intrepid, the crew worked with calm efficiency. Taro monitored shields, diverting energy where it was needed most. Mira piloted with precision, exploiting gaps in the enemy formation. Weapons officers fired only when necessary, conserving energy for critical strikes. Every move was deliberate, every action calculated. Despite being heavily outnumbered, the humans' creativity and courage gave them an edge. The Empire's warships, designed for overwhelming force, struggled to respond to a threat that could appear anywhere and vanish just as quickly. Human unpredictability had become a weapon more powerful than lasers or plasma. "Captain," Mira said, eyes on the display, "they are starting to split their formation. They don't know where we are. Their sensors are overwhelmed." Elias allowed a small smile. "Exactly as planned. Confusion is the first step toward victory, but we cannot linger. Phase 2 begins now." The second phase involved a direct strike on the Empire's smaller command vessels. Using drones to mask their approach, the Intrepid targeted shields and engines, leaving the ships immobilized and vulnerable. The Empire's forces began to scatter, each vessel uncertain of orders. Even as the humans pressed their attack, they were careful not to overextend. Every move was measured, every strike designed to weaken, not destroy. The goal was not total annihilation. It was disruption, confusion, and proving that a single human vessel could challenge the might of the galaxy's most advanced fleet. Hours turned into a tense battle of cat and mouse. The humans used every advantage the environment offered. Asteroids, nebulae, and debris fields became allies, masking movements and hiding their approach. The Empire, for all its technology, could not predict human imagination and daring. Elias watched the enemy fleet falter. "Humans survive because we adapt. They are precise, yes, but they cannot change fast enough. Every move they make we predict, or create a new one they cannot predict." A sudden alert flashed on the view screen. "Captain, a squadron of fighters is approaching from the rear," Mira reported. "They've identified our position." Elias remained calm. "Good, let them come. We will show them why humans are not to be underestimated." The fighters attacked in formation, banking and firing in unison. The humans responded with agility and skill. The Intrepid darted between asteroids, weaving in unpredictable patterns, while drones launched flares and energy pulses to confuse targeting systems. One by one, the enemy fighters were neutralized or forced to retreat, unable to match human reflexes and creativity. Taro cheered quietly as the final fighter exploded in a controlled strike. "We did it. They couldn't hit us," Elias nodded. "That is human ingenuity at work. Strength alone does not win battles. Intelligence, creativity, and courage do." The humans pressed onward, moving closer to the Empire's larger warships. Each maneuver was daring, every strike carefully timed. The fleet began to retreat in disarray, unable to maintain formation or communication. The Intrepid had proven that even one human vessel could outthink and outmaneuver the galaxy's most advanced fleet. As night fell over the distant stars, the humans paused briefly to assess their situation. They were exhausted but exhilarated. Their victory was not total, but it was significant, a demonstration that courage and cleverness could challenge overwhelming odds. Elias addressed the crew. "This is only the beginning. The Empire will regroup, learn, and adapt. But so will we. Humans have survived for centuries because we do not accept limits. We find solutions where others see obstacles. We fight not because we must, but because we can, and because the galaxy needs hope." Mira glanced at the view screen, showing the scattered enemy fleet. "They will tell stories of a lone vessel that dared to challenge them. We have become more than a ship, we are a symbol." Elias smiled faintly. "Exactly. Symbols inspire, and humans are masters of inspiration. Our work here is just beginning. We have shown the galaxy that size and power are not the only measures of strength. Ingenuity, courage, and unity are just as formidable." As the Intrepid moved into deeper space, the crew reflected on the lessons of the day. They had faced impossible odds and prevailed. They had turned fear into a weapon and uncertainty into advantage. The Empire's fleet, powerful though it was, had learned a vital truth. Humans were unpredictable, resourceful, and not to be underestimated. The stars stretched endlessly ahead, and the Intrepid sailed among them like a lone beacon of hope. Every system they passed, every patrol they disrupted, added to the growing legend of human courage. Elias stood at the bridge, eyes on the infinite expanse. The Empire may control much of the galaxy, he said quietly, but humans control their destiny, and destiny favors the brave. The crew nodded silently. They were tired, yes, but their spirits burned brighter than any star. The Intrepid had survived the impossible, outmaneuvered the greatest fleet in the galaxy, and proved that a single human vessel could change the course of events. And somewhere, in the hearts of those watching across the galaxy, hope was born. The Intrepid continued its journey, deeper into unknown space, carrying with it the unyielding spirit of humanity. It was small, it was lone, but it was powerful beyond measure, because it carried the heart, courage, and ingenuity of humans. The galaxy had underestimated humans, but the humans had already begun to rewrite the rules of war, and the Empire, despite its might and technology, would soon learn that courage, cleverness, and unity were forces that no calculation could contain. In the darkness of space, one ship moved forward, defying odds, breaking expectations, and leaving a trail of inspiration in its wake. The story of the Intrepid was only beginning, and the legend of humanity was just starting to shine among the stars. The Intrepid moved silently through the shadow of a massive asteroid belt, its sleek hull glinting faintly under the distant light of a dying star. The human crew was tense but focused. The previous battles had tested them to the limit, yet they had emerged victorious through skill, ingenuity, and courage. But the real challenge awaited: the Empire's flagship, the heart of their fleet and the symbol of their power. Captain Elias Vance stood at the bridge, studying the holographic projection of the massive warship. It was enormous, larger than any ship the humans had faced before, bristling with weapons, shields, and advanced sensors. Automated drones swarmed around it, ready to detect even the slightest movement. The Empire's officers inside the ship were confident, believing no lone vessel could breach their defenses. Elias's eyes were sharp, calculating. "The flagship controls the fleet," he said. "If we can disable it even temporarily, we force the rest of the Empire to retreat or fall into chaos. But it won't be easy. Their defenses are unmatched, and one mistake could end us." Lieutenant Mira Kellen, standing beside him, nodded. "Captain, our previous strategies worked because we used speed and surprise. But this is different. The flagship is too powerful for a direct attack." Elias smiled faintly. "Then we will not attack directly. Humans have always excelled at finding the hidden path, the overlooked opportunity. We will strike where they are weakest." Ensign Taro approached, holding a datapad filled with readings from previous encounters. "Captain, the flagship has a structural vulnerability near the central command hub. If we can disable the hub, their coordination will fail. The rest of the fleet will be forced to respond slowly, giving us the advantage." Elias nodded. "Good, that is our target. We approach carefully, using the asteroid field for cover. Drones will create diversions, making them believe multiple attacks are occurring from different angles. Timing will be everything." The crew prepared for the mission with meticulous care. Engineers checked energy levels, ensuring shields were at maximum capacity. Weapons officers calibrated precise plasma cannons and energy disruptors. Drones were loaded with stealth modules capable of slipping past enemy sensors. Hours later, the Intrepid moved closer to the flagship. The asteroid belt provided cover, but the humans had to navigate through narrow passages with skillful precision. Any mistake could expose them to the flagship's devastating firepower. "Steady, Lieutenant," Elias said, watching Mira pilot the vessel with perfect control. "Every movement counts. We are not rushing. Precision is our ally." The humans launched their drones first. Small, nimble machines darted through the asteroid belt, sending false signals to the flagship's sensors. Automated turrets fired at illusions, wasting energy and revealing gaps in the defenses. For the Empire, the battlefield seemed chaotic, confusing, and unpredictable. "Phase 1 complete," Mira reported. "They are reacting to drones, but they have not located us yet." Elias nodded. "Now comes the critical phase. We move toward the command hub. The Intrepid advanced, slipping through sensor gaps and dodging automated fire. The flagship's drones swarmed in a futile attempt to detect the vessel, but human ingenuity was always one step ahead. Every maneuver, every turn, and every calculation was designed to exploit weaknesses and create opportunity. Inside the flagship, alarms blared as officers struggled to understand the disruption. Systems failed unexpectedly, drones disappeared from radar, and critical subsystems went offline. Confusion spread rapidly through the Empire's command structure. Back on the Intrepid, Taro monitored the ship's energy levels, diverting power to shields when necessary and conserving it for the final strike. "Captain," he said, "we are in position. The command hub is within range. Weapons are ready." Elias's eyes gleamed with determination. "Good, fire with precision. Disable, don't destroy. We want them alive enough to be confused, not eliminated. Humans win by strategy, not by brute force." The Intrepid released a focused energy pulse toward the flagship's command hub. The pulse struck precisely, disrupting communication systems and temporarily disabling critical control circuits. Alarms blared inside the enemy ship and the fleet began to falter. Capital ships moved without coordination, drones collided or retreated, and the Empire's officers struggled to regain control. "Captain, it worked," Mira exclaimed. "Their fleet is in chaos." Elias allowed a small smile. "Exactly as planned. The flagship's command has been compromised. The rest of the fleet is disorganized. Now we press our advantage." The humans moved swiftly, exploiting the confusion. Using the asteroid belt and shadows, they targeted secondary systems on the flagship: navigation, engines, and shields. Every strike was calculated, precise, and efficient. The Empire's mighty warship, once thought invincible, was struggling against a single human vessel. "Captain," Taro said, pointing at the view screen, "their automated systems are failing. Manual control is slow. They cannot respond quickly enough to our maneuvers." Elias's eyes sparkled. "Humans survive because we adapt. Machines calculate, but we imagine. Fear is our ally. Courage is our shield, and ingenuity is our weapon. Remember that." Mira piloted the Intrepid with flawless skill, weaving between enemy fire, dodging debris, and striking at vulnerable points. Drones continued to create diversions, making the flagship believe multiple attacks were occurring simultaneously. The humans' coordination was perfect, a symphony of precision and courage. Hours passed in tense silence, punctuated by the hum of the Intrepid's engines and the distant explosions of the flagship's damaged systems. Every move required focus, timing, and nerve. The human crew felt the weight of the moment, knowing that one mistake could destroy them all. "Captain," Mira said quietly, "they are beginning to retreat. Their fleet is breaking formation." Elias nodded. "Good, but we cannot stop yet. We maintain pressure until they are forced to disengage completely. Then we vanish before they can regroup." The Intrepid pressed forward, striking at remaining weak points and forcing the flagship to retreat from the asteroid belt. The Empire's fleet, confused and disorganized, followed reluctantly, unable to coordinate an effective response. The humans had turned the tide with intelligence, courage, and perfect timing. Finally, after hours of careful maneuvers and precise strikes, the humans disengaged. The Intrepid slipped silently back into the shadows of the asteroid belt, leaving the Empire's flagship damaged, its fleet scattered, and its command faltering. Inside the Intrepid, the crew allowed themselves a moment of relief. They had faced the heart of the Empire and emerged victorious, not by numbers or brute force, but by courage, ingenuity, and teamwork. Elias looked at his crew with pride. "This is humanity's strength," he said. "We are outnumbered, yes, but we are never outmatched. We survive because we think, adapt, and dare where others hesitate. Today we have changed the balance," Mira smiled. "Captain, the galaxy will hear of this. They will see that humans are not just survivors, they are warriors." Elias nodded. "Yes, but let us remember our victory is only temporary. The Empire will recover, learn, and strike back. Our task now is to continue moving, learning, and preparing for what comes next. Humans do not fear the impossible. We embrace it and we thrive." Taro added quietly, "Captain, the command hub is still active, though damaged. If we needed, we could strike again, but they may retaliate more fiercely." Elias considered this. "We strike again only when it is necessary. For now, our lesson is delivered. Humans are unpredictable, daring, and clever. The Empire has learned that one small vessel can disrupt even their most advanced fleet. That knowledge spreads faster than any laser or plasma, and that is our true victory. The Intrepid moved away from the battlefield deeper into uncharted space. Every star system they passed, every fleet they observed, added to the growing legend of humanity's courage. The galaxy had witnessed a small human vessel take on the might of the Empire's flagship and win. As the crew reflected on their achievement, Elias spoke quietly to himself. The galaxy underestimates humans at its peril. Our courage, intelligence, and unity are forces that no fleet, no matter how advanced, can fully contain. Today we have proven that, and tomorrow we continue. The stars stretched endlessly ahead, and the Intrepid sailed through them like a lone beacon of hope. It was small, it was lone, but it was powerful beyond measure, because it carried the heart, courage, and ingenuity of humanity. Somewhere, in the hearts of those oppressed by the Empire, hope was born. Somewhere, in the minds of those who believed the galaxy was controlled, doubt had been planted. The humans had shown that even one vessel, one crew, one determined spirit, could challenge the impossible. The Intrepid continued onward, carrying not just weapons and engines, but the unyielding spirit of humanity itself. The story was far from over. The final confrontation was yet to come, and the galaxy, unaware of the full power of a human vessel, would soon learn that courage, ingenuity, and unity could overcome even the greatest of odds. The Intrepid drifted through the endless expanse of stars, its engines silent as it prepared for the final confrontation. The human crew had faced impossible odds before, outmaneuvering the Empire's patrols, disrupting convoys, and even challenging the flagship itself. But this was different. The remaining Imperial fleet had regrouped, larger and angrier than ever, determined to crush the lone human vessel once and for all. Captain Elias Vance stood at the bridge, calm yet focused. His eyes scanned the holographic map, showing the positions of enemy warships converging on their location. The flagship, though damaged, remained operational, and its fleet surrounded them in a calculated formation. Lieutenant Mira Kellen spoke quietly, her fingers resting on the controls. "Captain, we are heavily outnumbered. Their weapons can destroy us in minutes if they coordinate properly." Elias's voice was steady. "Yes, but remember, they rely on predictability. They follow patterns, algorithms, and calculations. Humans, however, are unpredictable. We do not rely solely on technology. We rely on courage, creativity, and unity. That is what will give us victory." Ensign Taro added, "Captain, the fleet is moving in standard attack formations. If we can exploit their blind spots and strike at the flagship again, we can force a complete retreat." Elias nodded. "Good. Prepare the ship and drones. Today, humanity will show its true strength." The crew went to work with precision. Engineers monitored every system, ensuring shields were at maximum capacity. Weapons officers loaded plasma cannons and energy disruptors, calibrating them for pinpoint accuracy. Drones were readied for stealth missions, ready to create diversions or disable enemy systems. Every member of the crew understood the stakes. This battle could decide not only their fate but the perception of humanity across the galaxy. Hours later, the Intrepid approached the fleet, using asteroid fields and cosmic debris to hide its approach. Mira piloted with unmatched skill, weaving through narrow passages and dodging enemy sensors. The Empire's warships, confident in their calculations, failed to detect the lone vessel until it was too late. "Captain," Mira said, her voice tense, "we are in position. They still haven't detected us fully. The flagship is within range." Elias's eyes gleamed. "Good. Phase 1 begins. Deploy drones to the flanks, create diversions, and mask our approach." Drones darted silently through space, emitting false signals and energy pulses that mimicked multiple attacks. Turrets on the enemy ships fired wildly at empty space, wasting precious energy while the Intrepid remained unseen. The human crew moved with perfect coordination, exploiting every weakness the Empire's automated systems could not anticipate. "Phase 2, Elias said. "Target the flagship's engines and shields. Disable, do not destroy. We want confusion, not annihilation." The Intrepid launched precise strikes at the flagship. Energy disruptors hit key systems, causing shields to flicker and engines to falter. The flagship lurched as if wounded, and its fleet began to falter, unsure of how to respond. Automated drones collided or retreated, and enemy officers struggled to coordinate attacks. Chaos spread through the once perfect formation. "Captain, they are breaking formation," Mira exclaimed. "The fleet doesn't know how to respond." Elias smiled faintly. "Exactly. Confusion is our ally. Keep pressure on them, but maintain control. Every strike must be calculated." The humans pressed their attack, moving closer to the flagship. Using the asteroid field for cover, they struck at secondary systems, navigation, communications, and weapon control. The flagship's crew struggled to repair damages while defending against attacks that seemed to come from everywhere at once. Human ingenuity had transformed a single vessel into a phantom fleet in the minds of the enemy. Hours passed in tense silence, broken only by the hum of the Intrepid's engines and the distant explosions from the damaged Imperial fleet. The human crew was exhausted but unwavering. Every decision, every maneuver, and every strike required courage, intelligence, and teamwork. They were not just fighting a fleet, they were fighting the galaxy's expectations of what humans could do. "Captain," Taro said quietly, "their flagship's main systems are failing. If we push carefully, we can force a retreat." Elias nodded. "Then we do it." Humanity's strength is not in numbers, but in precision, unity, and daring. Today we will show the galaxy that one human vessel can challenge the impossible. Mira piloted the Intrepid with flawless skill, weaving between enemy fire and asteroid shadows. Drones continued to create diversions, keeping the fleet off balance. The humans moved as one, every action synchronized, every strike intentional. Finally, the decisive moment arrived. The Intrepid fired a carefully calculated energy pulse at the flagship's core systems. The pulse struck with perfect timing, disabling navigation, communications, and weapon control simultaneously. The flagship shuddered under the attack, its crew struggling to regain control. "Captain," Mira said breathlessly, "they are immobilized. The fleet is falling back." Elias's eyes gleamed. "Excellent. Now we maintain pressure without overextending. Let them retreat in confusion. Let them remember this day." The humans carefully maneuvered around the flagship, keeping it disabled while avoiding unnecessary damage. The Empire's fleet, demoralized and disoriented, began to retreat, their once formidable formation broken beyond repair. The Intrepid had achieved the impossible. A single vessel had defeated a galaxy-spanning fleet, not through brute force but through courage, ingenuity, and perfect teamwork. Inside the Intrepid, the crew allowed themselves a quiet moment of celebration. They had faced the might of the Empire and emerged victorious. Their triumph was a testament to the human spirit, bold, clever, and unyielding even in the face of overwhelming odds. Elias turned to his crew. "Today we have shown what humans can do. We are small in number, yes, but mighty in courage and intelligence. The galaxy will remember this victory, not because of weapons or size, but because of human daring." Mira smiled. "Captain, the Empire will spread word of this. Humans will be feared and respected." Elias nodded. "Exactly. But fear is not enough. We inspire hope wherever oppression reigns. The galaxy needs to know that one determined human can stand against the impossible and succeed. That is our legacy," Taro added quietly. "Captain, the flagship systems are still partially operational. They may try to regroup and retaliate." Elias considered this. "Let them. Every fleet they rebuild, every system they repair, will now know caution. Humans are not to be underestimated. Our victory today is more than tactical, it is symbolic. It is a warning, a lesson, and a spark of hope all at once." The Intrepid moved away from the battlefield, deeper into uncharted space. Every star system they passed, every fleet they observed, added to the growing legend of humanity's courage. The story of a lone vessel taking on the Empire's might spread faster than any laser strike or energy pulse. The crew reflected on the meaning of their victory. They had not only survived, they had challenged expectations, disrupted the most powerful fleet in the galaxy, and left an indelible mark on history. The Empire had learned that humans were unpredictable, resourceful, and courageous beyond measure. Elias gazed at the stars, quiet yet determined. "The galaxy underestimated us, but today, we have shown our strength. Courage, intelligence, and unity are forces that no fleet, no technology, no empire can fully contain. Humanity will not be forgotten." Mira placed a hand on the console, smiling softly. "Captain, wherever we go, systems under the Empire's control will see hope. They will believe that change is possible." Elias nodded. Yes, and that hope is more powerful than any weapon. Fear can be ignored. Courage cannot. As the Intrepid continued its journey, the humans knew that the galaxy had changed. One small ship had rewritten what was possible. One crew had proven that numbers and technology alone do not determine victory. Courage, creativity, and unity do. The stars stretched endlessly ahead, and the Intrepid sailed among them like a beacon of hope. It was small but mighty, lone but legendary. Its story would echo across the galaxy for generations to come. Somewhere, oppressed star systems whispered the name Intrepid with awe. Somewhere, future human crews would dream of daring missions inspired by the courage of those who had faced the Empire and won. The lone human vessel had not only survived, it had become a symbol of what humanity could achieve. Captain Elias Vance looked at his crew, pride shining in his eyes. "We have done more than survive," he said. "We have shown the galaxy who we are. Humans are daring, clever, and united, and no matter the odds, we will always rise." The Intrepid moved onward, deeper into the unknown. The stars held countless adventures, challenges, and discoveries. But the humans aboard were ready for all of them. They had faced the impossible and emerged victorious. They had become legends, and the galaxy would never forget.